Hello, and welcome. Welcome to day 3 of this 30-day Business English Idiom Challenge. I'm really excited to be here, and today we are going to be looking at idioms related to taking initiative. If you have missed day 1 and day 2, you will find a link in the description once the live is over that will help you find day 1 and 2 and also show you where you can get the extra materials that are available as a free course so that you can catch up on day 1 and 2 if you would like to, and also so that you've got this material all together in one place for the future, that you could come back to it and review it. So idioms related to taking initiative. Before we get into that, I would love to just ask you, if you're watching this on the replay, what time is it where you are? It's always so fascinating to me that we're all over the world in different places. It's 6:05 in the morning here in the UK, up in the northeast of the UK. I would love to know where you are and what time it is for you. And also, I would love to know, what was your favorite idiom from yesterday's lesson? So if you were here on the live yesterday, or if you caught the replay, was there an idiom that jumped out to you, that means really stood out, seemed important, or you liked it? I would love if you wanted to share. I've also mentioned on past days, an idiom, as you, I am sure, know, is an expression that holds a different meaning to its literal meaning. So we need to learn them, and it's good to look at them in context, which we will do, but you really need to learn what the phrase means. So idioms are used frequently by native speakers, and so they can be a really important part of helping you understand spoken English more. I think particularly in business English, it's really important to recognize that a lot of idioms are used in spoken English, but they wouldn't be used in written business English. So you might encounter many idioms in meetings or networking events, things like that, but you wouldn't be using them in emails or written communication. Okay, today we're looking at these idioms: to blaze a trail, to hit the ground running, take the initiative, strike while the iron is hot, take the bull by the horns, dive in head first. Do you know any of those? We're first going to look at them in context so you can get a feel for them, and realize that some of them you might be able to understand from the context, and others maybe perhaps you've come across them before. Okay, so I'm going to read this out. Mark was asked to organize the company's trade show booth. And I'm actually just going to take a moment to make clear what that is. So a trade show booth is a stand or an area at a trade show that represents important information about a product. So it's really important to have it be creative and eye-catching, to make it stand out. So he was invited to plan the way that they would present their information and their booth, which is this box or area at a trade show. Okay, anyway, let's go back to the beginning. Mark was asked to organize the company's trade show booth. He saw this as an opportunity to blaze a trail and be creative. The day he found out, he hit the ground running, diving into the task with enthusiasm. He took the bull by the horns and brainstormed innovative ideas to make the booth stand out. He knew that to succeed, he needed to strike while the iron was hot by using current trends that were of interest to consumers. Recognizing the importance of taking the initiative, Mark wasted no time in making decisions. He quickly chose one of his own ideas and ran with it. If you run with an idea, it means you go ahead with it. Okay, last paragraph. However, because he dove headfirst into the tasks on his own, he didn't want to wait for feedback from his team. He had many problems. And didn't want to wait for feedback from his team. He had many problems getting the booth ready on time. Apologies, messed up the ending there. It's all good though. Okay, two things about this. One, you would never write this many idioms in a piece of communication. So I just want to make that really clear. I've written an extract to use all the idioms at once, but you wouldn't be doing that because you wouldn't be using idioms in written communication. Two, you probably noticed that there's one idiom in there that can be negative, and we'll talk about that later. We're going to start with to blaze a trail. So I'll give you some examples. I just want you to start thinking, what do you think that might mean? Have a look at the picture, have a look at the examples, and have a think before I tell you. Okay, she blazed a trail in the field of AI technology by building a new app that had never been seen. He's known as a trailblazer in the world of fashion, as he was the first designer to use 100% recycled material. So you've probably guessed it means to be the first to do something or to create a new path for others to follow. A blaze is a bright, shining light or a fire. So if you blazed a path, literally, you would use fire to create or cut a path through something, like maybe through the jungle. So blaze as in a fire, cutting a path makes sense, right? It's like clearing out by using the fire a new path that could be walked along. In our sense of our idiom, it means, you are really having a big impact and doing something in a new way, and you're creating a new system of doing something. So you are paving the way, leading the charge, setting a precedent, breaking new ground, being a pioneer, creating a new path. So we talk about to blaze a trail in something. So for example, blaze a trail in the field of. When we talk about a field in that context, we mean the area of work. So the field of education, for example, the field of medicine. And we can also talk about someone being known as a trailblazer. Okay, here's a question for you. What field do you work in? Who is the trailblazer you most respect? Okay, I would love for you to answer that in the comment section if you are comfortable doing so, or you could just practice and write your own sentence. But it's really important to practice using the idioms. I would love to see in the comment section if you would like to go ahead and do that. So here's a sentence stem for you. So for example, I work in the field of education. The trailblazer I most respect is, and I would actually change it and say the trailblazers I most respect are the people who are re-examining the way that we teach people with neurodiversity like autism and ADHD. I really respect the way that they are blazing a trail in that area. Okay, I'd love to see your examples in the comments. We're going to go on and we're going to look at hit the ground running. The company hit the ground running as they did thousands of pounds worth of profit on their first day. It's important to get some work experience while you are at university so that when you graduate, you can hit the ground running in your job search. Okay, so this is similar to some of the other ones that we've had over the last few days about beginning things. And it means to start something, but to do it quickly and energetically without any delays or hesitation. And it also implies being prepared and ready to work from the very beginning. So being ready to go and starting successfully. So you're prepared. If you are ready to hit the ground running, it means you are prepared. So we can talk about having a strong start, to start off strong, to begin energetically, to get off to a flying start, and to dive right in a positive way. So you can hit the ground running in a new job or position or role or with a task or a project. So when we want to talk about being prepared, we can say, oh, yeah, I am ready to hit the ground running. I am prepared. Okay, question for you. What are your top tips for hitting the ground running after a holiday when you return to work? So I think I put there vacation. Yes, I did. So US English would be the vacation, UK English, a holiday. I don't know about you, but when I've had a big period of rest, it's hard to get back into the swing of things. The swing of things means our regular routine. So I sometimes find it hard to get back into the swing of things after a holiday, to get back into my regular routine. So after a holiday, I always try to hit the ground running by giving myself a little bit more time for the tasks that I need to do, recognizing that it takes a while to get back into the swing of things. What about you? What are your tips for hitting the ground running when you return after a holiday? Go ahead and put them in the comment section. I would love to see, and I will come back and we'll look at them and we'll comment on your comment. Okay, let's move on to take the initiative. When the project fell behind schedule, Tom took the initiative to organize a team meeting. When the community park needed renovation, the residents took the initiative to organize fundraising events. So, what do you think that means, to take the initiative? Well, it means to do something, to be proactive. To be proactive is to do something ahead of the time that it's needed, like before it becomes a big problem. So in that example, yes, they're reacting, but they're reacting immediately. So there's an issue and they're reacting to it immediately. So to be proactive by identifying opportunities or problems and taking action on them without waiting for instructions from others. So you often see in job descriptions, we are looking for someone who's able to take the initiative. We're looking for someone who's able to take the initiative and write the emails on their own. Or we're looking for someone who's able to take initiative and plan their own schedule. So it's often a phrase that's used to say we're looking for someone that can know what work needs to be done and can do it without needing a lot of guidance. So if you're taking initiative, you're being proactive, showing leadership, taking charge, you're being self-motivated and enterprising. We talk about taking the initiative in making, finding, starting something. So I am able to take the initiative in making scheduling choices. Okay, here's a question for you. From what age do you think children should be taking the initiative in organizing their schoolwork? At what age should they be taking the initiative to look after their own schedule and the tasks that they have to do? Go ahead and use that sentence stem in the comment section and just complete that. I feel by age something, children should be taking the initiative to organize their schoolwork because, and then tell me what you think. Okay, we're moving on to strike while the iron is hot. And I think the picture for this one is really useful in kind of showing the context. When the stock market was booming, that means doing really well, he decided to strike while the iron was hot and invest in several promising companies. The minute that the concert tickets went on sale, John decided to strike while the iron was hot so he could buy a ticket before they sold out. Okay, so it's about doing something, but what do you think it means? Well, it means to act now. And I'm just going to go back to that picture because this is where this idiom comes from, is blacksmithing, which means to create horseshoes and to look after the feet of horses. So in the past, and still now to this day, I believe, they have to heat up the iron and hit it when it is hot, because that's when it is malleable or able to be changed and shaped. If you try and hit it when it's cold, it's not going to work. You need to hit it when it's really red hot, which means very hot, so that it is malleable and shapeable. So to strike while the iron is hot means to take advantage of an opportunity as soon as it exists, in case the opportunity goes away and does not return. So in that example of the person buying concert tickets, that's a good example of striking while the iron is hot, because concert tickets, they go in a snap, they go really quickly. So we can talk about acting promptly, seizing the moment, making most of an opportunity, or capitalizing on a situation, um, striking while the iron is hot to take action now, because if we wait, that opportunity might go away. Okay, here's a question for you. Describe or a prompt rather. Describe an example of someone successfully striking while the iron was hot. So go ahead and put your response in the comment section. Next one, take the bull by the horns. Here we have a picture of a Highland cow or a Highland coo. I don't know if it's a bull. I hope it is. I'm not really an expert in cattle, but I wanted a nice picture of a bull rather than one of a bull being bothered. And I liked this guy because he looks kind of funny. Anyway, when his business started struggling financially, he decided to take the bull by the horns and create a better budget. When there was a rift in the team, she took the bull by the horns and openly spoke with everyone about it. Okay, a rift means a crack or a rip. Something is broken. So if there is a rift between people, there is a crack or a broken part of the relationship. So a rift in the team means people have fallen out with each other. They are arguing. The team are divided. So when there was a problem or a division in the team, so it's a good word, a rift. So there was a rift in the team. Rather than pretending that there wasn't or ignoring it, she took the bull by the horns. So to take the bull by the horns means to confront a difficult or challenging situation directly and assertively, rather than avoiding or ignoring it. If you were to grab hold of a bull by the horns, that would be a very difficult task and dangerous too, right? Not one that you want to do. So that's exactly what we're talking about, a difficult task that we don't really want to do, but we have to do it with confidence and assertively. You can't half-heartedly half do it. You have to really jump, go for it and be assertive. So we can talk about facing the problem head on, tackling the issue directly, confronting the challenge boldly, dealing with the situation decisively. All of those ideas around taking action in a confident way. Take the bull by the horns. Be careful. This is quite an informal idiom. You might hear other people use it, and I would just, notice when they do. I would be careful about using it because it's quite informal, and also because it's saying take the bull by the horns. You wouldn't want to speak about someone as um, making an implication that they are behaving like a bull. So there's a little bit room for misunderstanding. So be really careful how you use this. You don't want to make it seem that you are saying someone is bullish, which means that they are kind of steaming through and being too confident or too aggressive in the situation. So because there's perhaps a little bit room for misunderstanding, be careful how you use that, because it is an informal one, but it's certainly one that you will hear people say in business situations. With this client, we need to take the bull with the horns and tell them that we cannot do this project in the time that they want it done. So it is used in business situations, but quite an informal one. Okay, here's a question for you. Describe a movie character who took the bull by the horns. What did they do? Go ahead and practice with that one. Leave your answer in the comments. And we're moving on to dive in head first. She tends to dive in head first whenever she faces a challenge, often leading to avoidable mistakes and setbacks. A setback is something that stops your progress and even removes the progress that you've made. It puts you further back in moving away from your goals. She didn't worry about what to do. Sorry, I'm going to start that one again. She didn't worry about what to put on the art canvas. She just grabbed a brush and dove in head first by putting paint everywhere. Okay, this one can be used positively, like the example of the art. You got to start somewhere. You got to get over the fear of the blank canvas. So it's quite positive to dive in head first. Or it could be a negative connotation of thought and feeling, like the first one where they've created avoidable mistakes. So to dive in head first, if you're using it positively, it means to be enthusiastic. So to enthusiastically and eagerly start something without hesitation. So we often use it to talk about hobbies. I went to a ballet class. I really enjoyed it. I absolutely dove in head first to learning everything about ballet. So it means that you have just become very enthusiastic about it and you're just going right into it and learning everything you can about it. If it's negative, it can mean to become involved too quickly without thinking carefully enough about it. If you literally dive in with your head hitting the water first, that can be really, really dangerous. Here in the UK, we actually call that tombstoning, because, a tomb being the sign that they put over the earth for someone who's passed away, who's died. I hate that phrase 'cause it's so dark, so negative. But yeah, it's not a safe thing to do, to dive into the water head first. I mean, if you know what you're doing, you know how deep the water is, you know there's rocks there, but it is a bit dangerous. So in the negative connotation of this idiom, it means that you've jumped in without really thinking about the consequences. Okay, so positive, it means you're enthusiastic. Negative, it means you jumped in too quickly. So we can talk about leaping in, plunging in, immersing oneself in something, throwing oneself into something, acting rashly. To act rashly means to act without thinking about the consequences. Or we can talk about jumping in blindly, which means the same as the negative connotation. Jumping in blindly means you haven't thought about things properly. You haven't thought through the consequences of your actions. Okay, so dive in head first. What are the dangers of diving in head first into new projects? So the dangers of diving in headfirst into new projects are, what would you say? Go ahead and share your answer to that, or give me a different practice sentence using the idiom. Okay, that's all of them. I'm going to read again the overview of all of them, so you can get an understanding of them all in context. There'll be a 2-question, very short quiz, and then I'll talk about the listening that goes with this. Okay. Mark was asked to organize the company's trade show booth. He saw this as an opportunity to blaze a trail and be creative. The day he found out, he hit the ground running, diving into the task with enthusiasm. He took the bull by the horns and brainstormed innovative ideas to make the booth stand out. He knew that to succeed, he needed to strike while the iron was hot by using current trends that were of interest to consumers. Recognizing the importance of taking the initiative, Mark wasted no time in making decisions. He quickly chose one of his own ideas and ran with it. However, because he dove headfirst into the tasks on his own and didn't want to wait for feedback from his team, he had many problems getting the booth ready on time. Okay, how did it feel? Did it make a little bit more sense the second time that you heard that? I hope so. I hope you can see that some of them were positive. That last one was being used in a negative way. Okay, here's a really short quiz. It's very short because, as I mentioned yesterday, I'm actually going to create interactive quizzes that you can use, and I'll put them in the free course that will go with these lives, and that the link to that will be in the description. Not immediately, but after the live, I will put it there. Okay, here are some questions for you. Number one. Which of the following best describes someone who blazes a trail? A. Someone who follows the crowd. B. Someone who creates new opportunities. C. Someone who prefers to stay in familiar territory. Or D. Someone who avoids taking risks. What do you think? And number two, which of the following best describes someone who takes the initiative? A. Someone who waits for things to happen. B. Someone who is passive and uninvolved. C. Someone who identifies opportunities and acts on them independently. Or D. Someone who relies on others to make decisions for them. Excuse me, goodness. What do you think? Let's go through it. Number one, which of the following best describes someone who blazes a trail? Well, that would be someone who creates new opportunities. If you are following the crowd, you're just going along with what other people are saying. Okay, number two, which of the following best describes someone who takes the initiative? Well, that's someone who identifies opportunities and acts on them independently. Okay, how did you do? Did you get them? Did they make sense to you? I know it's a very short quiz, but the last thing that I wanted to share with you was a reminder that there is a micro listening task that goes along with this live, and it is best used with the loop listening method, which is my method of, well, I say my method, it's been used for eons, for a really, really long time. It's called all kinds of different things, like I think it's the 3 listening method, the repetitive listening method. It's got some shadowing in there. So I call it the loop listening method, but it's nothing new. I have not invented the wheel here. So the loop listening method is about listening to the same thing in a loop, as in over and over and over, and transcribing it, writing it down. This helps you absorb the language in a really useful way. It consolidates your understanding as well as just a good listening practice. So I have a listening task that you can do. And I'm just going to let you listen to it once, and then just as a reminder that it's there.
Welcome aboard, Jane. We're thrilled to have you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. We have a big project coming up next week, and I think you'll be perfect for it. Wonderful. I'm ready to hit the ground running. Perfect. I'll brief you on the project details and then introduce you to everyone.
Okay, so there you go. Thank you again to whoever it was that suggested that I could use my phone to play it instead of struggling with the sound as I have previously. But that's a very, very short listening task, a micro listening task, if you will. And you listen as many times as you need so that you can write it all down, and then you track, because there is actually a transcript there. And the transcript actually does explain some of the words as well. For example, the word brief, which means an overview of a project. So that listening task, as well as these slides, which you can use to review, are available to you. And there are also some interactive quizzes, and you can check all of that out in the description below. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. I hope to see you on the next one. Bye for now.